Hey guys, so I wanted to answer a question from the comments. Can I manifest my husband to become more ambitious, successful, and eager to continue his education? My response to this is right in line with Neville and everything that Neville says, the consensus of Neville and his attitude towards other people, which is that you wish the best for them. You see them in their highest possible state, which of course would include being successful in whatever way that means for them, and whatever the perfect unfolding of success is for them. And I would say also, a person in their highest possible state is almost definitely, embodying ambition in some way, just meaning passionate about something, interested in things, pursuing things, because that's generally, I think, that's generally a human quality that comes out when there isn't something encumbering it. So your husband in his highest state will probably display most of the qualities that you want him to display. But the thing that bothered me about this was the eager to continue his education part, because I feel like that's the part where, it's like you're inserting yourself into what that has to look like. His, the highest unfolding of your husband's happiness and peace and him becoming the best version of himself may or may not include anything having to do with further formal education. That, I think, is what the Neville people refer to as messing with the middle. That's involving yourself in the how. How is this going to come about? That is none of your business. It's none of your business. You don't have the scope of vision to know what would need to happen for your husband to become his highest best self. So what I would do in order to make this happen is envision him completely and totally healed in every way, radiating happiness and peace and self-acceptance, whatever his good qualities are that you love about him, magnified, just him in his best state. Whatever is causing him to, be less successful than he might be, or to be unambitious, those things are stemming from some incorrect orientation that he has. So envisioning him with those things healed, whatever they are, you don't have to know what they are, you just have to know that you want them to be healed. That will naturally fix those things. You don't have to fixate on any particular thing that he's currently not doing that you would want him to do. All you need to do is see him in that positive light. Neville also says, by the way, you shouldn't ever tell people how to behave. If you don't like something someone is doing, you don't need to tell them about it. Just envision them doing it differently. And in my opinion, the point of this is to get your fixation off of somebody else. People use Neville to fix on people as justification, as an excuse to fixate and obsess on other people. And if you've read Neville, there's no way you could possibly think that he would sign off on that. Like, that's just not what any of Neville's stuff is about. It's all about you. And when it comes to other people, it's, revise what they did that you didn't like so you can move on. And see them behaving the way you would want them to behave, so you can move on. And here's the thing, and here's why. And here's also why envisioning your husband in this highest light is the most healing thing you can do for both of you. You are not aware of what you're emanating. There's just no way you can be from your perspective. You don't know what energy you're bringing, and you honestly don't really know the way you come off. You don't know, the way you may think you're saying something and feeling like you're being very loving and helpful may actually be expressing all of these feelings that you have about this. I don't know I don't know anything more than the comment that was left, so I don't know what this person is like with their husband, but when you start to see him in a different way, it will change the way you're looking at him all the time. Or it hopefully it will. It should. Because you're communicating to him non-verbally all the time. And when you are communicating to him verbally, there's an energy behind the things that you're saying that expresses something that you're probably trying to conceal or trying not to just be so obvious about. I think this is part of how other people around us heal. And even if they're not right next to you, we know this is a giant energy field. So I don't think there's any reason to, exclude the possibility that people who are far away can absolutely pick up on your energy, your thoughts and feelings that you're having about them. I don't think there's any reason to think that that's definitely not happening. I mean, I don't know that it is, but there are certainly some weird things that happen where people who are nowhere near you seem to understand something that's happening with you, or, a lot of us have experienced sort of having a final emotional disconnection from somebody, a shift in how you feel about somebody, where all of a sudden they don't have a hold on you anymore mentally. And it's like they know and they show right back up. So look, we all have anecdotal evidence for this. So, it's certainly possible that even people that aren't around you are getting this nonverbal communication from you, and that they know what you think. They can sense what you feel about them. So I wouldn't add the education into it. I'm not even sure how you would do that other than like trying to picture them at a graduation or something. But that to me just feels like trying to control somebody else's path. And I don't know, a lot of people are interested in trying to control other people and what they do. That is something I have no interest in whatsoever at all. So clearly that's not going to be a part of my answer to this. I would just see him in his best possible light. Anybody who you're having judgments towards, see them in their best possible light. That's the first part of the answer. And the second part of the answer is, are you where you want to be? I think the more you turn the focus on yourself in general, the more you realize that you've got enough work to do on yourself to last you many lifetimes. And it's just really sort of like a distraction or a projection or whatever to focus on what somebody else needs to do. It's just like a way of, avoiding the work you need to do on yourself, or attributing your own lack of movement forward to somebody else and something that they need to do. And, it's always an option to move away from a relationship that you're in. You have no obligation to stay. Maybe you feel you do, maybe you have a family or something like that. That's a different story maybe. But, I would always personally exit a situation before I would try to change somebody else. And if it's bad enough that it wasn't enough to see somebody in this better light and to focus on myself, if there was still too much misery being created, that sounds like a situation to exit. Doesn't sound like that's what's happening here, but I just wanted to say that. That is my response to that. The more you can take your focus off of another person and put it onto your own life, the more whatever they're doing doesn't really matter to you. And, you can also try to focus on the positive aspects of that person only when you're thinking about them. That's not to say ignore being abused or ignore things that, a normie would say, hey, you've got to get out of that relationship. I wouldn't ignore that, but very little good comes out of fixating on what somebody else is not doing. It's better for everybody involved to remove that energy in whatever way you can, whatever way you have to. If you can do it while remaining in the relationship, great. If you can't, if you're just fixating on the negative and you can't stop, you and that person are probably not creating much good for anybody. So that's my answer to that question, and I hope that helped in any way. I don't mean any judgment, because this is a very human thing that everybody is trying to understand and change and all of that. And it's, I think, totally human to have this orientation towards other people. I think it's heavily supported by most cultures. Most cultures aren't evolved in this way. So most of us start out this way. And I personally have had sort of I feel like I had sort of an inborn aversion to controlling other people, or maybe I had a experience really young where I saw somebody controlling somebody else or trying to, and I was just repulsed by it. But this is easy for me to say and do. At least it's easy for me to do outwardly, just because I think I got a natural boost here. So like, I don't want anybody to think I feel judgmental about this, because I don't. I do think that once you become aware of that, it's on you to start to try to change it. And if you don't, and you're just like, fuck that, I'm going to still try to control everyone, okay, well then maybe I have some judgment about that. So I don't know. There's a lot of that going on in the mainstream manifestation community, and I definitely don't like that. Anyway, I hope that helped. And I think this really does have a big effect on the person that you're, it's a huge gift. I mean, think about it. It's not all that easy to really get into the mental space where you're feeding this kind of positive energy to the idea of somebody else's unfoldment. It's taxing. So much so that, like, you might even know that it'll work and be really good for somebody. You still can't, like, get yourself to do it. Maybe you've got some anger or resentment in the way or something like that, or some other mental obstacle. But if you think about it, this is really the biggest gift that you could give somebody. I did this with someone at the beginning of this channel, and I really, and it wasn't somebody I was even in contact with. Wasn't somebody physically, geographically very close to me, and I'm pretty sure it had an effect based on some conversations that we had after that, 6 months after that. It really seemed like it had an impact, and it should, because this is all energy and frequency, and something is really happening when you see and feel someone in their highest state, and it feels really good for you, and it's healing for you too. I think it will change the way you're looking at this person. And maybe it severs that sort of judgment or the burden that you're placing on somebody energetically to need to be somewhere that they're not currently. I don't know. I feel like this is an important question. I hope that helps somebody. And have a lovely Saturday.